The starship Aurelia drifted through the darkness of space like a silver feather, its long crystal wings glowing softly with pale blue light. Inside the ship, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement and fear. The Luminari, a tall, elegant alien species with thin bodies and glowing patterns across their skin, were preparing for their first ever contact with Earth. For decades, the Luminari had watched humans from a distance. They admired humanity's rapid growth, their brave exploration, and their strange, unpredictable energy. But they also feared them. Humans were very different, physically stronger, emotionally louder, and evolutionarily tough. The Luminari believed diplomacy would be difficult, but necessary. Earth was rising fast as a young power, and the Luminari wanted peace before misunderstandings could grow. Inside the main observation hall, a group of Luminari scientists hurried across the shining floor, their long robes whispering softly. The hall was circular, with high ceilings and flowing holograms that shifted like water. At the center was the biological scan table, already projecting rotating blue images of human anatomy. Counselor Solani, the lead diplomat, stood with her hands clasped behind her back. Her glowing skin patterns brightened and dimmed with her nervous thoughts. A common Luminari trait. Around her, a team of female Luminari researchers worked carefully, analyzing human biology before the ceremonial meeting with Earth's ambassador. "This is historic," Solani said quietly. "We must understand them well before we step onto their world." Dr. Yalira, the head biologist, nodded. "We have studied many species, Counselor. Humans should be no different." But her confident tone sounded a little forced. She turned toward her assistant. "Begin the deep scan projection." The lights dimmed. A hologram flickered to life, an image of a human body, rotating slowly. Muscles, bones, tissues, layer after layer appeared in glowing detail. At first, the Luminari watched in calm interest. But as the hologram expanded to show unusual features of human biology, their calmness began to crack. One researcher whispered, Is that real?" Another blinked rapidly, her skin lights flickering in alarm. "What kind of bone density is that?" A third asked, stepping back a little. Dr. Yalira frowned. "Increase magnification." The hologram zoomed in, revealing thick human bone structures far denser than those of the Luminari, who were tall but delicate, built for low-gravity worlds and peaceful environments. Next, the system highlighted the human immune system, pulsing in bright red and gold layers like tiny soldiers ready for battle. One young Luminari woman covered her mouth in shock. "It is not violent," Yalira corrected gently. "It is active." But she herself sounded uncertain. The hologram shifted again, now showing human stress hormones and their response patterns. Luminari bodies were sensitive, and calm by nature they found strong emotions. Overwhelming. But humans lived with powerful emotional states every day, and still functioned. The scan highlighted how human bodies responded to danger. The heart raced. Blood flow increased. Adrenaline surged. Muscles tightened. Brain signals accelerated. Humans entered what the system labeled as combat readiness. The room went silent. Very silent. Solani slowly exhaled. They prepare for physical danger, as naturally as we prepare for meditation. No one replied. The researchers stared at the hologram with wide, glowing eyes. Then the hologram displayed a diagram of human muscular structure, and that was the moment everything changed. The muscles looked dense, tightly wrapped, layered in ways the Luminari had never seen before. Humans were not built like prey animals or fragile species. They were built for endurance, motion, conflict, adaptation, things completely foreign to Luminari biology. One researcher whispered, This looks like the anatomy of a super predator." Another said, "No wonder they survived their home world. It must be a nightmare planet." Dr. Yalira opened her mouth to calm them. But before she could speak, One of the younger Luminari women swayed unsteadily. Her glowing patterns dimmed suddenly. I do not feel stable, she said, weakly. Sit down, Yalira said quickly. But the young woman didn't sit. She stiffened, took a step backward, and fainted, falling gently to the polished floor with a soft chime of her robe. Gasps filled the room. Another woman clutched her forehead. I think I am going to. She collapsed as well, her body glowing dimly. Two more followed within seconds. Medic team, Solani shouted, her calm, diplomatic voice breaking for the first time. The doors slid open, and Luminari medics rushed in, lifting the fainted women onto floating stretchers. Their glowing skin patterns flickered in weak waves, signs of emotional and biological overload. Solani rubbed her temples in disbelief. This is a disaster. They have not even met us yet. Dr. Yalira pressed buttons rapidly, trying to dim the hologram before more people fainted. But curiosity pushed her forward. She zoomed in on the circulatory system, displaying the human heart, strong, thick-walled, beating with powerful, rhythmic force. Another medic saw the projection and whispered, "That organ could break a Luminari body in half." "It is not a weapon," Yalira said, frustrated. "It is efficient." But she herself took a small step away from the image. Across the room, Solani sighed deeply. She had prepared for many diplomatic challenges: cultural confusion, language barriers, political tension, but she had never considered that her team might physically faint at the sight of human biology. "How am I supposed to speak calmly with their ambassador?" she said softly. "If half my delegates collapse during a simple anatomy scan?" Meanwhile, on Earth, the human delegation was also preparing for the meeting. Dr. Mara Valdez, Earth's ambassador, adjusted her suit collar and checked messages from Mission Control. She had no idea that far above the planet, the Luminari were panicking. Back on the Aurelia, Dr. Yalira finally stabilized the hologram at a less alarming view, just the outer human figure with minimal detail. The medics finished tending to the fainted women and moved them to the medical bay. Solani approached Yalira privately. "Do you believe humans are dangerous?" Yalira hesitated. "All life has the potential for danger, counselor. But humans are unique. Their evolution shaped them for survival, not peace." Solani nodded slowly. "And we were shaped for peace, not survival." Both women stood silently for a moment, watching the simplified human hologram rotate. Yalira continued, "Their anatomy looks frightening to us because it is powerful. But power does not always mean aggression. If anything, it means they overcame a harsh world. They had to be strong to live." Solani sighed again. "The people will not understand this. Strength is rare in our culture. We admire beauty, softness, harmony." She looked at the fainting stretchers being carried away. "And humans," she murmured, "are none of those things." The ship's communication chime echoed through the hall, announcing that Earth's ambassador was ready for the ceremonial introduction. Solani straightened her robe, though her hands trembled just a little. "Prepare the delegation. We must not show fear." Yalira gave a small, brave nod. "And we must not faint." But her tone hinted she was not entirely confident. As the Luminari diplomats entered the meeting chamber, none of them knew that this unusual first contact, filled with fainting scientists, misunderstandings, and shock, would become the beginning of one of the most important alliances in the galaxy. For now, though, they were simply trying very hard not to fall over at the sight of a species whose biology seemed made of steel, fire, and unexplainable chaos. And humans, standing proudly on Earth, still had no idea why the aliens were late to the meeting. The atmosphere inside the Aurelia remained tense long after the fainting incident. Bright medical drones floated through the halls, carrying calming scents and soft light, trying to settle the stressed Luminari crew. But nothing seemed to help. Everywhere on the ship, quiet whispers spread like a soft storm. Humans are too strong. They come from a violent world. They can survive injuries that would end any luminari. No one openly said they feared humans, but the way their glowing skin patterns flickered told the truth. Counselor Solani walked through the corridor with firm steps, trying to maintain her diplomatic confidence. But deep inside, her thoughts spun in circles. She had trained her entire life for peaceful negotiations, but she had never prepared for a species whose biology alone caused panic. She entered the meeting preparation room, where 3 members of the diplomatic team sat in a half-circle. They were trying to meditate before the first face-to-face contact with humans. Their eyes were closed, but the glow running across their bodies pulsed nervously. Solani cleared her throat. "We cannot let our emotions control us," she said softly. One diplomat opened her eyes and sighed. "Counselor, we are trying, but every scan, every report about humans, it feels unbelievable. They are so physically different." Another diplomat added, "Our bodies are built for harmony and light. Theirs are built for survival against everything." Solani moved closer. "We must not judge a species by how strong they are. Power does not always mean danger." But her words felt thin, even to herself. Meanwhile on Earth, Dr. Mara Valdez walked across the polished hallway of the International Space Embassy. The building stood tall and bright, its curved walls reflecting sunlight like the surface of a pearl. She held a data pad filled with notes for the meeting. A young assistant walked beside her. "Dr. Valdez, the Luminari have not connected to the meeting channel yet. They said they were preparing longer than expected." Mara frowned. "Longer? Why? They scanned our biology earlier. Maybe they're adjusting their meeting protocol." She didn't know how correct and how incorrect her guess was. Back on the Aurelia, the Luminari team gathered in the main briefing hall. Dr. Yalira entered, holding a crystal tablet filled with biological notes. Her expression remained serious. "Counselor," Yalira said, "we must discuss new findings before the meeting." Solani nodded. "Tell us." Yalira projected a smaller, less intense hologram, this time only highlighting human tissue healing patterns. Soft green lines showed how humans repaired damage. The hall fell silent. Yalira explained, "Human bodies repair injuries at a rate we have never recorded in any peaceful species. Their cells rush to protect. Their bones rebuild quickly. Their skin seals itself. Their blood becomes thicker to stop harm." One of the younger diplomats whispered, "This is frightening." Another said shakily, "How do humans live like this? Every part of their body seems prepared for something dangerous." Yalira answered gently, "Their world shaped them. Their planet has many environments: burning deserts, frozen lands, deep forests, violent storms. Their ancestors faced many challenges. Their biology adapted." Solani folded her hands behind her back. "This does not mean they are dangerous to us. It only means their world is harsh." Yalira nodded. "Yes, we must remember that." She switched the hologram again, now showing human emotional and neural functions. Colorful lines danced across a brain model. "This is their emotional system," Yalira said. "Humans feel strongly, but they also think strongly. Logic and emotion work together." The diplomats blinked in surprise. "In our species," Yalira continued, "emotion and logic are separated. Strong feelings overwhelm us, but humans can feel fear, anger, hope, excitement, all at once, and still act." This revelation confused the entire room. A diplomat asked. Yalira smiled faintly. "No, they simply have a different kind of balance, a powerful one." Solani felt a small spark of hope. "Then maybe we can trust them." But before she could build confidence, a communication alert chimed through the hall. "Counselor Solani," the ship's AI announced, "a new rumor is spreading in the lower decks." Solani sighed. "Another rumor? What is it now?" The AI replied, Some crew members believe humans can lift heavy machines with one hand. Traction 7. 1. If you watch into the port time. Solani stared for a moment. Who started that rumor? The AI answered calmly. We do not know. But many crew members are now avoiding the engineering bay because they believe humans could crush metal. 1. 1. 1. Yalira covered her face with both hands. Counselor, I think we have a misunderstanding problem. Solani nodded slowly. Yes, a large one. Down in the Luminary cafeteria, the misunderstanding grew even worse. 2 young crew members sat at a glowing round table, sipping nutrient tea. Their skin lights flickered nervously. Did you hear? One whispered. Humans can survive falling from high places because their bodies just fix themselves. The other gasped. Truly? That sounds impossible. It is true. The biology team said humans heal fast, so if they fall, they stand up again. A third crew member joined them. I heard they can survive freezing cold. Their bodies make heat. Their bodies. The first crew member added, I even heard they can run for hours without stopping. The second gasped again. Hours? Our people cannot run for more than a few minutes. And just like that, the rumors grew and twisted. Facts mixed with exaggeration until the Luminari saw humans as unstoppable creatures of pure endurance. By the time the meeting hour arrived, half the crew believed humans could wrestle gravity itself. Solani gathered the main diplomacy team at the communication chamber, trying to bring calm. The room was bright and circular, with a large holo screen at the front. A blue symbol glowed on the screen, waiting for connection. Everyone breathed deeply, Solani said. Remember the values of our people: peace, understanding, and open minds. The diplomats nodded, though their glowing skin patterns continued to flicker nervously. Dr. Yalira stood beside Solani. Counselor, we must try to explain the biology findings carefully. We cannot cause panic on Earth. They may take our fear as insult. Solani agreed. Yes, humans seem proud of their strength, but they do not use it to harm us. However, not everyone agreed. One member of the team whispered to her neighbor, what if humans misunderstand our fear? What if they think we are weak? Her neighbor whispered back, we are weak compared to them. Solani's ears twitched slightly. She heard the quiet pessimism, but she chose to ignore it. Fear was natural. Overcoming it was the challenge. Begin transmission, she ordered. The holo screen brightened, and after a moment, the image of Dr. Mara Valdez appeared. She smiled warmly. Greetings from Earth. We are honored to meet you. Solani tried to smile, though she felt like her heart was pulsing too fast. Greetings from the Luminari. We apologize for our delay. Mara tilted her head. Is everything all right? Solani forced herself to stay calm. Yes, we were completing last-minute preparations. Yalira stood slightly behind Solani, whispering quietly, do not show any biological scan images. It will cause issues. Solani nodded slightly. Mara continued speaking. We are excited to learn about your species. We hope this meeting will begin a peaceful and long-lasting partnership. One Luminari diplomat whispered. Her posture is confident. Humans always look like they are ready to run or fight. Another whispered back. That is probably just their muscles. Both immediately quieted when Solani shot a stern look. As the meeting continued, small misunderstandings began to form. Whenever Mara moved her hands while talking normal human gestures, the Luminari flinched slightly. Whenever she smiled, showing teeth, some Luminari stiffened. Their species didn't use teeth for smiling. In Luminari culture, showing teeth was a sign of distress. Solani did her best to stay composed, but she noticed everything. The meeting lasted only 20 minutes before Solani decided to end it early. We appreciate your time, she said. We will prepare for a more detailed discussion tomorrow. Mara nodded gracefully. We look forward to it. Thank you. The screen faded, and the moment it did, half the Luminari let out relieved breaths, leaning against the walls. One diplomat whispered, "Her teeth. Why did she show so many teeth?" "It is a human smile," Yalira explained gently. "It means friendliness." Another diplomat said, "That looked terrifying." Solani closed her eyes for a moment. "We have much to learn, and much to unlearn." She stepped toward the center of the room, speaking firmly. "We must not fear humans. We must understand them. Their strength is not danger, it is simply their nature." But even as she spoke, Solani knew the next days would be difficult. Rumors would continue. Misunderstandings would grow. And if they were not careful, fear could ruin the alliance before it even began. Still, she believed in diplomacy. And she believed humanity was not a threat. She only hoped she could convince the rest of her people of the same truth. The day after the awkward first meeting, the Aurelia prepared for a new event, an official cooperation test between the Luminari and the humans. Counselor Solani hoped this test would help calm both sides. The plan was simple. One human volunteer would visit the Luminari's controlled habitat world, Leora 6, and participate in a harmless environmental demonstration. In theory, it was a peaceful cultural exchange. In reality, things would not go as planned. Captain Elias Ward stood inside the Earth transport shuttle, tightening the straps of his exploration suit. The suit wasn't meant for battle. It was a standard environment suit, with simple protection. But to the Luminari, it probably looked like heavy armor. Elias smiled softly. He was a tall man, with a calm face and steady eyes. Unlike many humans who felt excited about meeting aliens, Elias felt mostly curious. He had traveled across dangerous terrains many times on Earth mountains, deserts, storms. He didn't feel nervous about an alien demonstration. His assistant, Rena, checked the suit's readings. "Captain, your vitals are normal. The Luminari environment should be very gentle. They said it is peaceful, with soft weather and mild gravity." Elias nodded. "Good. Let's show them we're friendly." The shuttle doors opened with a soft hiss. A bright silver platform extended from the Aurelia, connecting to the shuttle. Luminari diplomats waited at the end of the platform, glowing in soft pastel patterns. Solani stepped forward, trying not to look at Elias's posture or broad shoulders for too long. "Welcome, Captain Ward. We appreciate your cooperation." Elias smiled politely. "Happy to help." The smile, with human teeth, caused 3 Luminari diplomats to stiffen. They tried to smile back, but it looked more like they were trying not to scream. Solani quickly gestured toward the transporter. "We will take you to our environmental demonstration site. Please follow us." Elias walked beside them, unaware of the nervous whispers happening behind him. "His steps are too strong. Is he stomping?" "No, I think humans just walk like that." "Oh, that is terrifying." Solani ignored the whispers, though her glowing patterns dimmed with embarrassment. The transporter activated, and in a flash of soft blue light, Elias and the Luminari team appeared on the surface of Leora 6. The world stretched out before them, soft green hills, silver streams, gentle wind carrying the scent of blooming crystals. Everything looked peaceful and delicate. "This is beautiful," Elias said with honest admiration. Yalira stepped forward. "This environment is designed to show how our species live. It is calm, balanced, and safe." Elias nodded. "Very different from Earth, but beautiful." The compliment eased some of the Luminari tension. They led Elias toward a large glowing field machine, the environmental stabilizer. It controlled temperature, wind, humidity, all aspects of the Luminari ecosystem. Solani explained. We will increase the wind slightly. You may observe the harmony of our world. Farther. Elias smiled. The demonstration began. Soft breezes flowed across the field. Silver leaves danced in circles. The luminari relaxed a little, finally. Something that made sense to them. But as fate would have it, harmony did not last long. A warning blared from the stabilizer machine, a bright red light flashing rapidly. Yalira gasped. The wind regulator is malfunctioning. Another luminari shouted, "Shut it down! Shut it down!" But before they could act, the regulator overloaded with a loud crackle. The soft breeze suddenly transformed into a violent, freezing storm. Winds howled across the field like a wild animal. Ice crystals formed instantly, swirling into sharp spirals. The luminari panicked. This environment will damage us. The winds are too sharp. Retreat, retreat. Solani grabbed Yalira's arm. The storm will break the stabilizer. If it collapses, the field will freeze. But we cannot get close, Yalira cried. The wind will tear our skin. The luminari huddled behind a protective barrier, their glowing skin patterns flickering wildly with fear. Elias watched the chaos for 2 long seconds before stepping forward. I can go, he said firmly. Solani spun toward him in shock. Captain Ward, you cannot. This storm is dangerous. 8. Elias shook his head. Your people can't go near it. But humans can handle cold like this. And my suit can handle the wind. The luminari stared at him, horrified. One whispered, His species. They fight storms. Another whispered back, Of course they do. Their world is dangerous. Elias ignored the comments and moved toward the storm. The wind hit him like a wall, pushing him back but not far. He took a stronger step forward. Inside the storm, visibility dropped. Ice crystals whipped through the air. Freezing wind cut through the field. But Elias tightened his jaw and pushed on. This isn't too bad, he muttered to himself. Feels like winter training. He spotted the stabilizer sparking wildly, glowing with unstable energy. If it ruptured, the entire valley could collapse into a frozen wasteland. Elias lowered his stance, shielding his face with one arm. He reached the machine and pulled open the control panel. The internal components were shaking, overheating. A burst of ice smacked against his helmet, but he kept working. Behind him, the luminari watched in awe and fear. He is standing in a freezing storm, Yalira whispered. His body. How is this possible? Solani stared in silence. Minutes passed as Elias rerouted wires, disabled energy loops, and manually reset the stabilizer core. Each blast of icy wind hit him hard. But he didn't stop. Finally, with one firm pull, he reset the main switch. The stabilizer pulsed once, then exploded with a bright flash of blue light followed by complete calm. The freezing storm vanished in an instant. The wind softened. The ice crystals melted into harmless sparkles of light. Elias stepped back, breathing hard but standing tall. The luminari approached slowly, their expressions filled with disbelief. Solani's voice trembled as she spoke. Captain Ward, are you injured? Elias brushed frost off his shoulders. Just cold. Nothing serious. The luminari exchanged looks of shock. Yalira said softly, If any of us entered that storm, we would have collapsed within seconds. Another diplomat murmured. He fixed the machine with his hands, in a freezing wind. Solani stepped closer, her eyes wide with respect. Captain Ward, you saved our ecosystem. Elias smiled calmly. Happy to help. The smile, once frightening, now carried a new meaning to them. Solani looked at him with new understanding. Your strength. It is not for harming others. It is for surviving. For protecting. Yalira nodded. We misunderstood your biology. We saw danger where there was none. You are strong, because your world required it. The luminary bowed slightly, a gesture of deep respect. Elias scratched the back of his neck, embarrassed but pleased. Honestly, it was nothing special. To the luminary, it had been very special. A delicate species had just watched a human walk into a storm that would have destroyed them. They had seen resilience, courage, and calm in the face of danger. For the first time, the luminary understood the truth. Humans were not frightening because they were strong. They were awe-inspiring because they used their strength to help others. Later that evening, as Elias boarded the shuttle back to Earth, Selani gave him a small, glowing crystal. "This is a symbol of our gratitude," she said softly, "and a reminder that understanding begins with trust." Elias smiled. "Thank you. I hope today helped." Selani nodded. "It did. More than you can imagine." As the shuttle doors closed, Selani turned to her people with a calm but firm voice. "We judged humans too quickly. Today, Captain Ward showed us who they truly are. And for the first time since arriving near Earth, the Luminary crew felt something other than fear. They felt respect. They felt hope. They felt admiration. The news of Captain Elias Ward's storm rescue spread across the Aurelia faster than light. By the time the shuttle carrying him reached Earth, every luminary on the ship had heard the story in at least 5 different versions. Some accurate, some exaggerated. He walked into the storm with no fear. No, he ran through it like a lightning bolt. I heard he held the stabilizer together with one hand. Someone told me he used his suit as a shield and blocked the storm. The true story was simple. Elias stepped into danger calmly and fixed the stabilizer with patience and strength. But to the luminary, who could barely stand strong winds, this simple act became something legendary. For the first time, the luminary did not faint when someone mentioned human biology. Now, they stood in awe of it. Inside the Aurelia's council hall, Selani gathered the senior diplomats. Soft light pulsed through the walls, forming calm, flowing patterns. The atmosphere was open and hopeful, so different from the tense chaos of days earlier. Yalira stood beside her, reviewing health reports. Captain Ward suffered no serious injuries, only mild frost on his suit. His biological systems compensated perfectly. One diplomat muttered, half joking, "Humans truly are made of star steel." Another said softly, "Their bodies are different, but not dangerous. They are incredible." Selani raised a hand. "We must understand something important. Humans do not use their strength to harm others. They use it to protect, to help, to adapt. We must stop viewing them through fear." Yalira nodded. "Yes, we misread their biology. Earth shaped them into survivors, not into threats." The council murmured in agreement. But one diplomat still looked uncertain. "But their emotions, they feel so strongly. What if they get angry?" Selani replied calmly. "And what did Captain Ward do when danger happened? Did he shout? Did he panic? Did he attack?" "No," the diplomat admitted. "He helped us." "Exactly," Selani said. "Human strength, combined with human kindness, is something rare in the galaxy." Another diplomat added shyly, "I think we should meet them again, properly, without fear." Selani smiled, relieved. "Yes, that is exactly what we will do." On Earth, Dr. Mara Valdez received the invitation for a second diplomatic meeting. This time, the luminary requested an in-person gathering face-to-face. No holograms, no distance. Mara raised an eyebrow. "Well, that's a big change." Her assistant laughed. "Maybe they're finally comfortable around us." She didn't know the whole story, but Mara sensed something important had happened. She prepared carefully, choosing calm words, gentle gestures, and her warmest smile, one she hoped would not scare the Luminari this time. When the shuttle arrived at the landing deck, Mara was surprised to see more Luminari delegates than before. They stood tall, glowing politely in soft pastel light. No one looked frightened. Solani stepped forward. "Dr. Valdez, thank you for meeting us." Mara smiled. "The honor is ours." To her relief, none of the Luminari flinched at her teeth this time. Solani continued. "We wish to talk about new possibilities for cooperation. Our people learned something important recently, thanks to Captain Ward. Endarmar. Gassy." Mara blinked. "Elias, what happened?" Solani gave a gentle laugh. "It is a very long story, and it includes one storm, one malfunction, and one brave human." Yalira stepped forward with a respectful nod. "Your captain showed us a side of humanity we misunderstood. We believed your strength was something to fear, but we learned it is something to admire." "Tess." Mara smiled proudly. "Yes, that sounds like him. R. Creasing. 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 Creasing." Solani gestured toward the meeting chamber. "Please, come. Today, we speak as equals." The conference room inside the Aurelia was arranged with two long tables, one for the Luminari, one for the humans. But when Mara entered, Solani gave a small shake of her head. "We prefer to sit together," Solani said warmly. "No distance." Mara gladly agreed. The meeting began. At first, both sides spoke carefully, exchanging information about culture, science, language, and history. But as the hours passed, the conversation grew easier. The Luminari laughed softly when Mara described human coffee addiction. The humans listened with fascination as the Luminari explained their glowing communication patterns. After a while, Yalira leaned forward, curious. "Dr. Valdez, may I ask something?" "Of course." Yalira tapped her crystal tablet. "Your species. How did you survive such harsh environments? How did your bodies become so resilient?" Mara smiled. "It wasn't easy. Earth is beautiful, but dangerous. Storms, predators, diseases. They shaped us. We had to learn to adapt. Our bodies learned too." Solani said softly. "Your strength frightened us. But now, I think it inspires us." Another Luminari added, "We fainted when we first saw your biology. Now, we wish to understand it." The humans exchanged amused glances, but no one laughed. Instead, Mara responded gently, "Sometimes things look scary when they're different. But different isn't bad." Solani bowed her head slightly. "Yes, and our mistake was judging, before understanding." The meeting went on for hours. By evening, both groups felt closer than before. The tension from earlier days had melted away. Later that night, Solani walked alone through the observation deck. Stars floated outside the crystal windows, like tiny diamonds. She felt peaceful. Then she heard soft footsteps behind her. Elias Ward stepped onto the deck, still wearing his simple exploration jacket. "Captain Ward," Solani greeted with a smile. "You may not realize it, but you changed everything for us." Elias chuckled. "I just fixed a machine." Solani shook her head. "For us, it was more than that. You showed us who humans really are." Elias leaned on the railing, looking at the stars. "Sometimes, actions speak louder than words." Solani nodded. "Yes, and your actions healed our fear." For a moment, both stood quietly, watching distant galaxies shimmer. "I hope this is the beginning of a strong friendship between our species." Elias smiled. "I think it is." The next morning, the joint announcement was prepared. In the heart of the Aurelia, Luminari and humans stood side by side, No barriers, no distance. Mara and Solani stepped forward together. Cameras from Earth and Luminary channels recorded the historic moment. Solani spoke first. Today marks a new chapter. Our people came with fear, but through understanding, we found respect. Mara continued. Our species are different, but differences are strengths, not weaknesses. Yalira stepped forward proudly. We now call humanity the enduring ones, not because they are scary, but because they rise and stand strong again and again. The Luminary delegates bowed deeply. The humans clapped. Elias simply crossed his arms and smiled humbly. The alliance was signed moments later, a shining symbol of cooperation, unity, and shared future. After the ceremony, a young Luminary researcher approached Elias cautiously. Captain Ward, she said softly. When I first saw the human anatomy scan, I fainted. Elias rubbed the back of his neck. She laughed. No. Do not be sorry. I understand now. We saw your strength and thought it meant danger. Now I know it means bravery. Elias smiled kindly. Thank you. The researcher glowed brightly, a sign of happiness. We hope to learn much from humans, she said. Not their storms or battles, but their spirit. Elias nodded. And we hope to learn from you too. That night, the Luminary played a soft message across their communication channels, a cultural broadcast shared with every ship and colony. It said, Do not fear what is different. For difference is how the universe grows stronger. And among the stars, there are beings who endure. They are called humans. And so, a fainting accident, a misunderstanding, a freezing storm, and one human's quiet courage created one of the greatest alliances in the galaxy. Not through power, not through fear, but through understanding and hope.